Hey, welcome to Five Tool. My name is Jason. So glad that you chose to join us for another week of equipping, of encouragement, a message that hopefully challenges you and equips you to take steps forward in the person that God has called you to be. We've got some exciting things going on. This week I had an opportunity to do an interview with the Fellowship of Evangelical Churches, which is who I work with personally, who my church belongs to. It is just a group of churches that try to work together to plant more churches and try to reach more people. And I love them, and I'm excited to see how we can possibly partner together to reach even more people. I'm also working with talking with some other church groups around the country about how I can partner with their churches to reach people that are involved in club sports and people that aren't in church on Sundays but want to and need to be reached. So excited about all of that, and I'm glad that you guys have chosen to give us a chance to be a small part of your God story. Today, our message is going to be a little bit different, mainly because most of the time when I teach, I try to pick something that I feel like you guys need to learn, you want to learn, or one of you has emailed me or messaged me about a life issue or a counseling need or something like that, which, by the way, you are more than welcome to do. I know this is a little bit different way to do church, but I still am your pastor. I want to be your pastor. And if life comes up and you need help navigating through life, please don't hesitate to email me at fivetoolministries@gmail.com. And I would be happy to try to walk you through the best I can with some biblical perspective, biblical navigation, if you will. I'm happy to do that for you. Whatever that looks like and whatever that means, don't hesitate to reach out. But anyway, this week is a little bit different because something happened in my life that really, it just spoke to me, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I just wanted to share with you what I learned from this week. So this week isn't so much about necessarily that I think you're struggling with anything or I think you need to do this. It's more about something that happened in our lives that affected me and my family, my son in particular. And it's simply this. I'll set it up this way. Almost every Monday night, my son and I, and my daughter sometimes, we will sit in our living room and we will watch a television program called WWE Raw. Now, some of you may not watch that. You may not even like that I watch that. Whatever. It's fine. I'm not here to argue whether it's right or wrong or anything like that. I grew up with it. I enjoy the athleticism, the production of it. I enjoy the stories that they tell, the lessons that they teach if you really dig in. But as my son has grown, he's really started following a few of these people and identifying with a few of these people. And every Monday, it's our thing. We connect with that. And it's been something really cool that me and my son can share together. And this past Monday, my son and I were watching the program, and at the very, very beginning of the show, they come on TV and they roll his favorite wrestler's music. And his favorite wrestler is a guy named Roman Reigns. Now, Roman Reigns is this guy. I brought an action figure of him just to show you who he is. If you don't watch, that's okay, I get it. But he's one of the more popular wrestlers in WWE. It does not mean that everyone likes him by any means, but he gets a big reaction from the crowd. And depending on the storylines, that he's a good guy or bad guy or whatever. But Roman has always been consistently inspiring and motivational in his messages and his approach to the business, and the way he impacts children and does charity work, and just a good, solid dude. And this past Monday, as we were watching, he came out to the stage, to the ring, not wearing his normal outfit. He was wearing street clothes. Now, about a year ago, I had a chance to take Ty up to Kansas City to an auto show, of all places, and we got to do a meet and greet with Roman Reigns. And I kid you not, the biggest smile I have ever seen on my son's face was when he got a chance to meet Roman and shake his hand. And there were hundreds of people in that line, you guys, and Roman Reigns, in the midst of signing all this stuff and taking all these pictures, made my son feel like he was the only kid in that room. And, you know, they exchanged some conversation. It was real quick. We were in line, but that marked my son. That he had a chance to meet somebody that he looked up to, that he admired, that he aspires to be like. He wants to inspire other people the way that Roman has inspired him. And then Monday, Roman walks out to the ring in street clothes, and he announces that he's going to have to give up the title that he holds because he has been battling leukemia for 11 years. And that leukemia has come back. He's going to have to step away from WWE and doesn't know when he's going to return. He's going to try to return, but he doesn't know when. And just the emotion, the transparency in his voice, the discussion of his faith, the discussion of his tenacity and his determination to beat this, spoke volumes to us, to my son and I in that living room. As a man, I watched what he was saying, and my heart broke for him. He has a wife, he has a daughter. To know what his family's going through, because I've sat in those rooms with families going through it. It was hard as a man to watch somebody have to live this out in front of millions and millions of people. But then, as a father, I watched my son. And I looked at how my son reacted to one of his heroes in that vulnerable moment. And my son was crushed. He was devastated. That here is this larger-than-life guy that he's looked up to for 5 or 6 years now, saying that he's going to be out for a while, and that he's going to be in a battle bigger than anything that Ty has ever seen him in a ring. He's going to be a battle against leukemia. And to see the way that Ty was impacted by this man and his influence upon my son's life spoke volumes to me. Now, all that to say this. Roman has kind of this phrase that he says a lot, and it's on his shirts, it's on his promo material, all that kind of stuff. But it's 4 words, and you've even seen it on some Under Armour things and other athletic stuff. And the 4 words are simply, I can, I will. I can, I will. Now, what I love about this statement is the confidence, the determination, the positive attitude that it displays. But after what he announced Monday night, that statement took on a whole new meaning. And my son, those 4 words, honestly, have inspired my son so much. Because he connected those 4 words to his favorite Bible verse. In fact, I brought one of my son's baseball hats here. He plays for the AASA A's, athletics out of Wichita. And if you see on the underside of his hat, he has I can, I will, with a 413. Every time my son takes a field, he has Romans words and his favorite Bible verse on his head. He wears it around. When he plays basketball, he will often take a Sharpie and write 413 on his wrist. It has marked him. And what I want to do with you today is simply, I want to walk you through this passage, Philippians 4. We're going to do about 11 through 13. And I want to just talk real quickly about what do we do when life hits? What do we do when life isn't going the way that you thought it would go? Maybe like Roman, who his real name is Joe. Maybe you get news from a doctor that you weren't expecting. Maybe it's something like him that you struggled with when you were younger, but you thought you'd overcome, and now it's come back. Maybe something happens in your family. Maybe something happens with your friends. Maybe something happens at school. Maybe you get an injury and you're told that you can't play. We're all struggling with something. We all have struggled with something. We all know someone who has struggled. And I want to walk through this verse. We're just going to read it. And then I want to tell you four things. Four things that when life hits can be game changer for you. This is Philippians chapter 4, verse 11 through 13. Listen to what it says. Paul says, I have learned how to be content with whatever I have. I know how to live with almost nothing or with everything. I have learned the secret of living in every situation, whether it is with a full stomach or with an empty one, with plenty or with little. For I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Now, we all know that last part, right? If you've grown up in church, you know that for all I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. You've seen that. You've got the wristbands. You've got the T-shirts. You've got the coffee cups. Some of you have it tattooed, right? But what about the first part of this? He says, I've learned how to be content with whatever I have. Literally, if you look at the Greek here, he's saying, I've learned to be content whatever I'm going through. Now, please understand, Paul is writing these words in a Roman prison. He's chained to a guard, saying, I've learned to be content. Whatever my circumstance, whatever my situation, I've learned to be content. Can you say that? Paul says it's a secret that he's had to learn. Something he's had to work at, to master. To be content with whatever life throws my way. And here's your four things. Number one, when life hits, what happens to you is not what defines you. That's just part of your story. What defines you, what makes you who you are, is not what happens to you, but rather how you respond to it. How will you respond when life hits? How will you respond when things don't go the way you expect them to go? You are not defined by what happens to you. You are defined by how you respond. Number two, your perspective determines everything in life. When life hits and when something unexpected happens, it is really easy to get down. It is really easy to get negative. It is really easy to go to that isolated place where you shut people out and you don't let anyone in. But a simple change in your perspective can literally change your life. Instead of getting down, if you stay positive, if you focus on staying positive, if you surround yourself with people who help you stay positive, don't isolate yourself. Surround yourself with people who care, people who can be your cheerleader. Instead of trying to figure out why this is happening to you, instead, figure out what you're supposed to learn. Maybe the reason it's happening to you is because someone else is going to go through it eventually, and you may be the one that influences them. Which that kind of leads me to my third. This is something we have to learn, guys. Perspective and responding to situations when life hits, that's something we have to learn. We have to practice. We have to do a little trial and error to get it right, to figure out our rhythm. It's not something that comes natural to very many of us. Let's be honest. But man, if you can learn how to be content no matter what life throws at you, your life is going to be a whole lot better. Number 4, people are watching. You are an influencer. If you are a high-level athlete, people are watching you. They will always watch you. Parents, people are watching you. And when life doesn't go your way, you are influencing more people than you will ever realize. Watch yourself. Guard your heart. Watch how you respond when life hits. Because one day you may be in the position of Roman here, right? And you may never have an action figure after you. You may never be on TV. You may never speak to millions of people. But there may be someone in your life that you influence as much as that man has influenced my son. And when life hits you the way life has hit Roman, I hope that your response and your words are just as much of an influence as his were to my boy. Life's gonna hit. But when it does, how will you respond? My prayer is that you remember that you can and you will through Christ who gives you your strength. Thanks for watching. And thank you for being a part of our 5 Tool family. God bless.